Hello there, vinyl community. I'm very excited to be making this video because, in my opinion, this may be the best video update I ever do. This is just so chock full of what I would call all killer, no filler, and every single record in here is just amazing. Like, just amazing. It's just, I got literally all killer, no filler. So, I'm just going to start because this is going to be a long one, and I have a lot of stuff to show, a lot of rare stuff, a lot of amazing stuff. So I'm going to start off with some jazz EPs I found at the thrift store for 50 cents a piece. These were actually a flea market. I don't know why I said thrift store, but these are flea market. They all have the picture cover, really nice condition. Ellington Uptown on Columbia right here. These are all with the original covers. They just look really solid, no seam splits, really no wear. Just excellent condition on these. I was very glad to find these. Herbie Man on East Coast Jazz. Again, no splits, writing, or tears or anything on the cover. This one's hard to open. That's a very tight cover. But this one is actually on the Bethlehem label. It has a little bit of a scuff on the vinyl. But that's fine. It played through it. Next one is The Greatest Gardener, Errol Gardner on Atlantic. On a really cool Atlantic label, actually. Let me get it out. It's on this black Atlantic EP label. I've never really seen one of those labels before, so it's really interesting. And this is the last EP. This is the artistry of Earl Bostic. This is on King Records, same label that had James Brown. Really clean on this one as well. So these were very welcome additions to the collection. I was glad to find these. But to start off, I actually had a tough time deciding which record to start this off with. But I'm going to start it off strong. I'm one step closer to completing my UK Beatles album collection. I generally want first pressings, but for albums like Please Please Me and, of course, Let It Be that are tougher to find, especially with the box, I set my expectations a little lower. Like, my Please Please Me is a fourth pressing from, like, summer of 63 to, I think it was November or December of 63. And this is the second press of Let It Be. This still has the Dark Apple label, which is the one I was looking for, a laminated cover. And now all I need for my UK Beatles albums is Yellow Submarine. Yeah, original Apple inner sleeve. I just kind of phased out there for a second. Really beautiful condition disc. Really beautiful condition. Really nice Let It Be. I was very glad to get this online. I got it for a very fair price for the condition it's in. And I'm just very glad to have it in the collection because I just need the UK first press of Yellow Submarine. Then I'll have the whole early issue lineup from Please Please Me to Let It Be. This is another one right here that I was very excited to find at a fair price. This is an original German copy of the debut by Kraftwerk. I was just amazed to find this. Original German pressing. When I saw this, I had researched Kraftwerk before, and I had gotten this confused with their second album, which was the Green Traffic Cone one. So I actually had to look it up in the store, and this is indeed a first pressing, the first album. And the second one, I don't know how I could have gotten it mistaken because they changed the traffic cone color to green, which is what I had noticed. But they also put 2 on the cover. So, yeah, no confusion there now. This is indeed a first press of the original. So really glad to have this in the collection. Going more into the psych realm now. The 7 Deadly Sins by Plus in really nice condition. Original die-cut cover. I didn't notice it when I got it. But it has this post colored in right here. But really, I don't mind that. You know, it doesn't look bad or anything. But still, it's a pretty hard to find album on ABC Probe. Pretty rare, actually. Really, really happy to add this one to the collection because it's one that's been on my want list for a good while now. Let me just put this to the side real quick. Alright, there we go. This is Give 'Em Enough wrote by The Clash. This is an original US first pressing on the Orange Epic label. Yeah, this was the first Clash album that came out in the US, and the only one, I believe, that came out on the Orange Epic label. So I was really glad to add this one to the collection. I don't find enough early Clash stuff around, so whenever I do find it, it's always a treat to get. This one is actually a fun story as well. I got this for free. This is an original first pressing of License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. The cover's near mint, has the original inner. However, they were looking at this in the store, and they said that the disc was trashed. And it indeed is. Side 1 looks really nice. Side 1 looks very nice, actually. But side 2, I'm not sure if you could catch it in the right light. It's just covered in scuffs and scratches. You could see it right over here. They're not feelable, but it's very, very, very not pleasant looking, to say the least. So I asked them about it because they said it was trash. They had also just gotten in Paul's Boutique, an original of that. And he said, well, it's trash, and we're not going to save the cover, so you can have it. And I got this for free. So this has actually been on my want list for a long time. One that I normally wouldn't show. So incredible to get that for free. I'm very thankful. Going back into my normal territory now, H.P. Lovecraft 2. Original copy on Phillips, Unipack cover. They have a bunch of copies of this at the store, but this one was, you know, the most reasonable price and the condition it's in. Like, it's good enough for me. The disc is VG+, the cover's VG, and, you know, so I figured why not, you know. I still need a copy of the debut, but I actually prefer this album over the debut. One to also knock out in the Beatles collection. This is an original copy of Electronic Music by George Harrison. It has the original inner sleeve. And this is one of 2 records that the Beatles put out on their subsidiary label, the Zapple. Real interesting label. They only reserved this, I believe, for like their more experimental stuff like this. I think the second one that came out on it was Life with the Lions, Unfinished Music #2. Glad to have this because I haven't had this record in my collection before. Aftermath by the Rolling Stones. Now all I need is the Rolling Stones now to complete my 60s and 70s Rolling Stones album collection. I'm just only missing a few of the 80s albums. It has the original inner sleeve as well. Original red label in mono. Very glad to have this one in the collection. Such a stellar album, you know. Such a stellar album. This is an exciting one for me because every time I get this album, I can never get first pressings, and every copy I see, for whatever reason, is water damaged. So this was really cheap, and it's an original in a really clean condition, like extremely clean, VG Plus all around. Black Sabbath's debut album. No seam splits, no ring wear, perfect spine, perfect top seam, perfect bottom seam. I'm stoked over this because I never find this album in good condition. Nonetheless, first pressings. Every time I see it, it's the Palm Tree label. So to find this original issue, original inner green Warner Brother label, I was stoked, and it's in beautiful condition. And I'm not, I'm just gonna say the price. This was like $8. $8, you know, for an original in really nice condition. I couldn't turn that down. I'm never turning that deal down. Another one right here. I've only had a ratio from 1982, but I finally got an original. This is Tommy James's and Shondel's Crimson and Clover, original on the Roulette label. Very clean condition as well. Very happy to have this one because the 82 reissue, it's in the shrink, it's nice and all, but I've always wanted an original, and I never really saw originals around, so I spotted this for cheap, and I grabbed it. This is an upgrade for me. This is the Ringo album, the 73 Ringo album. My other copy that I got, the disc is about in the same condition, like near mint. Both of them have really, really pretty discs. But the booklet of my other copy was not complete. It was missing 4 pages because I didn't look at the pages before I bought it. But this one has the complete booklet. I'm just going to skim through a few of the pages. All the illustrations in here are done by Klaus Worman, accompanied by lyrics. So yeah, before I bought this one, I did make sure it had a complete booklet, and it did. So I'm really glad to have this one now complete. So I'm probably going to give my other copy to a friend or something, you know, who needs it. Sgt. Pepper's. I always get a Sgt. Pepper when I can find it. This is an odd issue, though. It's a 75 Apple issue. It's the issue that came out right before the 76 Columbia. Not Columbia, 1976 Orange label issue. Has the insert. Now, it's on a very light green Apple label. And the cover isn't too special in condition, you know, good plus maybe. But the disc itself is a nice copy to have as a player copy. Even though I have a nice stereo original already, you know, why not get this one? Just in case, you know, I want a copy to just put on, not worry about having to, you know, keep really, really good care of it. Like, you know, obviously I'm going to care for this one, but, you know, it's a good one to have as a player copy. This is a pretty crazy one, in my opinion, that I've never seen this one in person, and I've always been looking for it. It's the U.S. debut by Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny. I got it really cheap because it has water damage along the bottom. Not sure if you could tell. You probably see the rippling in the paper. Original on Janus Records from 1976. I listened to this, and honestly, I really wasn't feeling it. Especially with, like, what was the song? Dreamer Deceiver? That was definitely one of the weaker songs on the album, but the rest of the album was pretty solid all the way through. Pretty tight album. You know, not really too great, but, you know, still a solid listen. Pavlov's Dog, Pampered Menial. Columbia issue. I know this also came out on ABC. Great artwork on it. And, yeah, just, you know, typical 70s Columbia label. Really nice condition disc, so why not? This is an upgrade for me. I have to still swap the covers. I haven't had a chance to do that. Survival by Grand Funk, because my other cover's in better condition. This one's covered in tape. Grand Funk Survival. This one actually has the pictures, which my other copy didn't, so it also has a better disc. Here's the pictures. And the disc is a 69 Capital Green label. Really nice condition on this. Now I'd like to go on and show you some finds that I got at my local flea market for 50 cents a piece. These are all pretty solid finds, pretty good condition. Easy Rider soundtrack from the UK, original first pressing on Dunhill. Flip back cover. I was glad to get this one because I've actually been looking for the Easy Rider soundtrack. An original issue of the debut by New Riders of the Purple Sage. I knew about the involvement of Jerry Garcia in this group, but I didn't know about Spencer Dryden and Mickey Hart. That was it credits it on the back, so that's pretty interesting. And of course this is on Columbia as well, again, typical red and yellow label. Live Thorogood by George Thorogood and presumably the Destroyers. This is on EMI America, really minty condition disc. Can't wait to spin this one. I got another pretty big upgrade. This is an original Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison in the Shrink minty copy. Just minty all around. Really beautiful condition. My other copy is pretty worn, so this is a very welcome upgrade. For 50 cents, why not? Disc on it's mint, you know, pretty much mint, near mint, I should say. But the cover is where it's at on this. Just beautiful condition cover. It has the original store sticker and everything. This is an original stereo press of the fabulous Johnny Cash. I have the original mono issue of this. I didn't have a stereo copy, so this was 50 cents, so why not? The disc on it is good plus, maybe, VG minus. Has scratches, but it looks like it'll play through just fine. This is the Grand Funk Live album, best condition I've ever seen it in. I always see this album really worn. And this one was very dirty when I got it. I had to do a lot of cleaning to it. But it came out really nice when I cleaned it. Just overall, really, really nice condition. This is a 2-record set. I'm only going to show that one disc. It's also the weird layout. I forgot what it was called, where they set it to side 1 and side 4, then side 2 and side 3. And this one was just thrown in. Where's the Money by Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. Never heard of them. Yeah, it's on Blue Thumb Records. You know, I'll give it a spin. I'll see what it is. But on Blue Thumb. So that's the first finds. I still have a lot more. So this one I'm going to stop and tell a story. This was record store day. I was driving to my record store and my friend gives me a call about this yard sale he's at. He's like, it's crazy. Some famous old guy used to live here. You got to come here. I'm going through the records. This man had passed away 9 years ago. His name was Paul Frank. And he was in a lot of groups, okay? A lot of groups. His wife, after he passed away, moved to my town, and she passed away. So they were liquidating the house, this professional company and stuff. And this man had a huge, long career in music. The first album he recorded, his name was Paul Frank, was Head Over Heels. This is all from his personal record collection. I guess he didn't have an original. This is the reissue. Personally owned by Paul Frank, right here, the guitarist. Pretty crazy. Yeah, originals of this are pretty tough to find. I see them on Discogs, 60 to 80 bucks. So I could see why this gentleman would have picked up a reissue of his own album. But then, we're going through the records some more. I find this, and this is the big one. Alright, so I'm going to show you this just for a start. This is another group he was in, called Fresh Start. This album's called What America Needs. Paul Frank again right there. His personal owned copy on ABC Dunhill Records. But I had seen just this cover, but with all this writing on it by presumably him. Feels really heavy, too. And this company didn't really know what they had, because they had like some other records there. They had like 62 to 66 and 67 to 70 by the Beatles, but those are like $15 a piece. They had a copy of Purple Rain by Prince for like 20 bucks, and they just looked over all this stuff from this gentleman's collection. And when I pulled it out, I see the catalog numbers, and I see Head Over Heels, and it's a Capitol acetate. I'll tell you what it is. I did a lot of research. It's the original acetate to that Head Over Heels album that I just showed you. This right here came out in 1971 on Capitol Records. That's the reissue. And this is the original acetate to that album, personally owned by their guitarist Paul Frank, which is pretty crazy to find at a yard sale for $2. Very crazy. So I kind of freaked out when I got that. It kind of blew me away that such a rare album that's so good, too. They were a power trio, very reminiscent of earlier Cream stuff where they were more blues-based. This guy's voice was a mix between Bon Scott and Robert Plant. Really, really talented man. To find that original acetate. This is another group he was in called Bruiser, Round 1. Paul Frank right there. He's holding the dog on the back cover, and on this I think he only did lead vocals. He played with some other people on this album, but I think he only did like the vocals on here. He may have done some guitar work, but he's not credited if he did do the guitar work. Personal owned copy of Bruiser. So I bought some other records from his collection, and they were impressive to say the least for me. This is the first one. This is an original mono copy of Blonde on Blonde that I got for $1 with the original gatefold with Pamela, I forgot her last name in it, that was later removed. An original mono copy for $1 of Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan. Absolutely amazing find for a yard sale for $1 none the least. You don't find original mono copies. They're really, really tough to come by. Most of the time when I see Blonde on Blonde, every time I've seen it besides this actually, has been a 70s reissue. So I was just set back when I saw this. Just absolutely incredible. And then, it doesn't stop there. He had some other records, a lot of other records that were just overlooked. This guy only looked for like Beatles stuff and stuff to put as the more expensive records, and he skipped over stuff like this. This is an original '93 pressing of Verses by Pearl Jam that I got for $5 at a yard sale. That was owned by Paul Frank. This is just all insane to me. Like, it's in the shrink wrap still. It has the original inner. Disc is really tough coming out on this one. It's really tight in the inner. Original and Epic. 90s vinyl, very hard to come by. Pearl Jam original is hard to come by. So, I'd go ahead and say this is the best yard sale scores I've ever had, because it still isn't ending. An original copy of GNR Lies. In the shrink wrap. Really nice condition. Original inner. Original Geffen. 88 right here. Just absolutely blown away. Just blown away. And on a little bit of a lighter note, I also found an original copy of the first Grand Funk album on time. So, I left behind a lot of records there. A lot of them were beat up. Like, his personal copy of Zeppelin 2, which they wanted like 20 bucks for, was just almost beyond playability. Yeah. Grand Funk on time. But this has been on my want list, too. You know, really great album. I just love Grand Funk. Going on, this was an online purchase right here. This was only 15 bucks also. This was Rubber Soul by the Beatles. This is Rubber Soul by the Beatles in the shrink original mono copy. Has the original inner. And the disc on it is just near mint. It doesn't have the Beatles on the label at all, so it's a very early pressing. Because later on in the run, they added the Beatles label. Original early pressings only credited their individual names, like John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, Ringo Starr. So, really, really nice one to have in the shrink. As well as working on my UK Beatles albums, I'm also working on my US catalog, but to have, you know, I'm not really strict on the US ones being originals in the shrink, because that can be tough sometimes, but I'm striving to get originals in the shrink, but I do have a few reissues from later on in the shrink. Alright, these last ones right here, well, these are the last albums I have to show. This group right here, so I'm going to start. This is a grail for me. I've been looking for this for a long time, and I got it. I got all these in a trade I did with a friend online. This is an original stereo copy on Impulse of It Serve You Right to Suffer by John Lee Hooker. Very tough one to find on Impulse. Original inner, and the disc on it is VG+, at the very least VG+. The disc on it, I can't really say much more about it. It's just beautiful condition, just absolutely stellar disc. And the cover isn't far behind. The cover's near mint. This cover looks like it's been on a shelf since the day it came out, and I only just got it. So, absolutely amazing. This is the next one right here. This has been high on my want list for a while, and I've never been able to find a copy. But I got it in a good trade, so it's a really clean copy of Magic People by the Poppers. Really a great Canadian psych group right here. I think Adam Mitchell went on to join the Climax Blues Band, which was Janis Joplin's backing group, and Skip Prokop, their drummer, I think went on to form Lighthouse, which was that 70s Canadian brass group that had a big hit with One Fine Morning. He also passed away pretty recently, like within the past few years, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, an original Verve Forecast pressing of that. This one's also been very high on my want list. Not necessarily for the music, but for the cover as well, and also because of the label. It's also a promo copy. The American Revolution on flick disc. You can see it had a sticker on it right there, but it's been torn off. I'm assuming that would have been where it said like DJ copy, not for sale or something. And it's on, as I say always, my favorite record label of all time, Flick Disc Records. It's just, I love the design of this label, man. I just love it. Beautiful label. And the last find for this video, which has gone on for a while, Happy Jack by The Who. This is an original stereo pressing on Decca. I've never seen this album in person. I've been trying to expand on my early Who collection, so really glad to add this to the collection. So thank you guys for watching. I know I showed a lot of stuff, so if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to let me know by commenting or liking, or if you haven't subscribed, I'm always welcoming new people. So thank you guys for watching. Peace and love to all of you.